Are we live streaming at this point? Okay, thank you, everybody. Welcome back once again. This has been a long meeting. I appreciate everybody's patience, especially those in the audience. I believe we have 3 more items to deal with. 13.1, which we'll deal with in a minute. 13.6 and 14.1 will be the last item that we deal with. So at this time, I'd like to bring forward 13.1. This was pulled by Regional Local Councillor DePaulo. So over to you, Regional Local Councillor DePaulo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to thank the members of the Council Compensation Review Committee. On a volunteer basis, it's a 4-year committee or 3.5-year committee that is struck at the beginning of the term, and they meet with no remuneration to discuss and set the compensation package for members of council. And 2 of them are here today. They've had to wait a lot longer than they should have, but I believe they're on hand to answer questions regarding their report. Mr. Mayor, in 1998, sitting in the Ward 6 councillor seat at the time, I moved a motion that this council strike a compensation review committee. The reason why was that 2 months after an election, the majority of council voted to give itself a 42% salary increase. I was opposed to it at that time. I voted against it, and subsequently we saw an outcry from residents right across Richmond Hill. It was the second most engaged our Richmond Hill electorate has ever been on an issue. The first most being when the introduction of the Oak Ridge Marine Act in 2001. But because of the outcry coming from our residents and the thought that it was not proper for an incoming council to vote themselves an increase, especially of the size that was proposed, I moved a motion that we rescind that 42% pay increase. I opted not to take the increase myself, and I proposed that we strike a compensation review committee. And the main reason for that, and it's worked very well for 5 terms of council since, the main reason was to set the rate of pay so that all candidates running for council in the fall, prior to that nomination period, they know what the compensation rate is for councillors, that they know exactly what rate of pay they're running for, and that remained in place for the duration of the term, and that subsequent changes to the compensation package was always to be done in consultation with a citizen-based compensation review committee. So the compensation review committee this term has done an excellent job, and I support 5 of the 6 recommendations that came forward. Effectively and in essence, that our rate of pay remains the same, our compensation package remains the same, that there be no additional benefits to members of council, and that I formally want to make the motion, Mr. Clerk, that the recommendations in item 13.1, numbers 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 be approved today, so that, consistent with our tradition, we will be setting that rate of pay in advance of the election, so that candidates know what they're standing for, and that the recommendations of the committee be put forward unamended, that there will be an indexing of 1.7% that's recommended by the committee, and that a similar committee to review and make recommendations regarding council's compensation be established next year and that they be given all of the comparative compensation data and all the assistance and help that they need to make recommendations again at the end of the next term of council. So that's my motion, Mr. Mayor. The recommendations in items 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6.
Okay, thank you. So I guess at some point we should probably put that up on the screen. Mr. Hike, I need a seconder for this motion. Okay, Councillor Shepherd, you're willing to second? Okay. Okay, is there anybody, I'm assuming everybody's reading that, but is there anybody else that wishes to speak? And actually, Councillor Shepherd, do you wish to speak on that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly speaking, I'm the party that's newest on council, and I'm the least interested party in terms of any expectation of compensation in the future or any type of benefits package. So just objectively speaking, I do agree with Councillor DePaula's statements, and that I think in the interest of fairness, the recommendations should be implemented at the new term of council, so that, you know, everyone's aware of what they're getting into, and retroactively, we don't try to create any problems with perhaps contracts that are already in existence. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Barros.
Thank you. I noticed that item 4 is not in the motion, and I guess there's a couple of ways that it either could be dealt with. It could just be left out, say nothing about it ever again, or the Ontario legislature at one point decided that their members should no longer receive the golden handshake, and the way that they fixed that was all the members that were currently in this system were paid out, and then going forward, there was no more program. So a situation like this could also occur. You could either say, yeah, no, we're just going to keep it there forever and a day, or you could say that we put it in, members that currently have an eligibility to it would be paid out, but going forward, there would be no more payment. And that could just mitigate any kind of further financial strain on the system. I think when I look at number 4, though, that was clearly omitted by the mover, I think some people kind of figured that as part of their retirement package. And they factored that into, yeah, you don't get paid much when you're here, but you know what? At least there's that when you retire. And I can see why we wouldn't want to leave it in as is. It doesn't provide an incentive for someone to retire when they should. They might just say, you know what? I'm going to run the next election, just, you know, kind of give a dismal turnout just to make sure I get that severance. I don't know if someone would actually do that, but it would be the only mechanism, given how it was written, for them to get the severance. So maybe through the chair to a committee member, maybe there could be more information given to us as to what the logic or what the conversation was around that motion, that number 4, and why there wasn't some sort of an exit for those that already were, shall we say, in queue to that. Is that reasonable, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, that would be reasonable. And these two gentlemen have willingly given up almost their whole day today to wait and speak to us. So this is your shining moment, gentlemen, the highlight of your day. Mr. Legree, just to introduce you, you are the chair of this committee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I will speak on this only as a, okay, great. I will speak on this only as the chair. This committee met and we'll say that the majority of the committee believe that changes were due, and it was time to set council's rate of pay going forward. And they believe that a change in council's compensation included that it concluded a portion of the city's website that would no longer be put in place, and we were going to change that this year and from now on. So it was decided at that point in time to make a decision, and we've stuck with that. Okay.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Mr. Priestman, who is the vice chair of this committee. Thank you for your patience today, sir.
So speaking to the severance, to Councillor Barros's point, yes, it would be, a councillor could mount a campaign with half-hearted effort just to get the severance. But the committee felt that that probably would not be the case. We wanted to make sure that the council compensation was in line with compensation in general in the corporate world, where people don't get severance for leaving a job. They get severance if they are not voluntarily. They get severance if they're let go. And essentially losing an election is letting go. You know, in the private sector, you can have someone who's working for a company for 50 years. If they leave the job, they retire. That was the view of the committee as a whole.
Thanks very much. Thanks, gentlemen. Okay, Councillor Barros, you still have the floor.
Thank you for those comments. I appreciate that. I guess I'll just leave it at that. I just thought that there might have been some more dialogue as to if that perhaps was something that could be seen as, I don't want to say contractual, but an understanding. And then going forward, if you dropped it off, then I guess it would make sense. But I'll just leave it the way it is. I won't put it back in for any reason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this? Okay, sorry, seeing none. So first of all, I would like to thank the committee for your work on this. I know that this is not an easy task, and I guess in a lot of ways, it's maybe not quite as much fun as some of the other committee assignments. So I do appreciate that. There was a time long ago that I actually was on that committee as well. So I think I understand the analysis, and I read through your analysis and understand what you were doing. I do appreciate the part about the severance and the changes to the severance. And I actually am, fairly, I've gone back and forth on this a number of times, and I do understand the report was very well written and clear, and I understand the rationale. I think that there needs to probably be at some point in time a look at that. Although I guess, at this point in time, I think the consensus is that the motion in front of us is acceptable. And from year to year, I think we do need to be staying up to date on this, and perhaps that whole issue could be re-examined at some point in the future in the next council compensation group. I think the chances of a payout from year to year are not huge, but anyway, those will be my comments. And again, I thank you. And I thank you again for your patience. It's been a very long day but your input is important. And the report of the Council Compensation Review Committee is also very important, and we very much appreciate it. I actually didn't understand or didn't realize the history that Councillor DiPaolo had suggested. I knew that we've had this Council Compensation Review Committee for quite some time. And as a member of council, I certainly appreciate that this is, the review and the analysis and the updating of the recommendations that are made year to year. And it's all done on a volunteer basis, and we appreciate it. So those would be my comments at this time. Is there anybody else on a second round? Okay, seeing none. So all those, so go ahead, Councillor DePaula.
Just a question, having sat through 8 or 9 hours of our meeting, do the committee members still feel we deserve the pay that we receive? Or is that?
Actually, I'm afraid to get that answer, and under our procedural bylaw, I can probably bar you from answering that question at this time.
Sorry to
No.
interrupt, I couldn't
No problem.
resist.
If it's funny, it's allowed. I do, but I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, okay. Seeing no other comments at this time, all those in favor of the, Councillor Silvitz is calling a recorded vote.
Am I allowed to speak? I'm sorry.
Oh, hi, Ms. Wong.
This
No,
is York.
at this point, we're calling the vote.
Okay. I was
Go
just
ahead, Councillor.
curious to know.
Go ahead, Councillor Silvitz. Or sorry, go ahead, Mr. Hike.
Thank you. Through Mr. Mayor, voting on the motion moved by Regional Local Councillor DePaula, Councillor Silvitz.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Munch.
Yes.
Thank you. Regional Local Councillor DePaula.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Crowley is absent. Councillor Barros.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor West. Thank you. Councillor Shepherd.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Liu.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Chan.
Yes.
The motion does carry unanimously.
Thank you very much. We're in the home stretch. The next, second last item is item number 13.6, poll 2022-2023 pole mounted radar message board program and locations. And this was brought forward by Councillor Munch. So Councillor Munch, you have the floor.
Good day. I'm just looking for, as I said, clarification. I am, first of all, I want to apologize to Mr. Terziewski for taking so long. I didn't want to get clear for everyone in the record, so we saw it, so I didn't make a misrepresentation. One of the radar boards is stated where there's an intersection of Devon's Lake and Luba, and Luba has 2 points of contact with Devon's Lake, and I just want to make sure that we're clear as a council to give direction. So I just want to confirm, if I may, that the southern moving on Devon's Lake going southbound from 19th Avenue, that the Luba exit is going to be on which exit it's going to be after, just so I'm clear. So Mr. Terziewski, can you just confirm with me what exit that's going to be? We've had a dialogue. I just want to make sure we all work there.
Okay, Mr. Terziewski.
It's through you, Mr. Mayor. In the southbound direction on Devon's Lee, it's proposed to locate the radar board just south of the northern intersection with Luba, just before the bend starts and just before the approach to the park.
That's great. And with staff, so everyone knows there's a little bit of a curve there, and staff confirmed this. There's a bit of a safety element there in the race, and I want to appreciate staff for clarifying that, making sure it's there, and just so we're all in good shape. Thank you. Sorry you had to wait the whole day. Bye.
Okay, we need a seconder for this motion. Councillor Chan, did you want to speak? Oh, Councillor Liu, you'll be next. Go ahead, Councillor Chan.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm actually very happy, and thank you, the transportation, traffic engineering, development engineering team for once again providing the location for each of the 6 wards. I particularly recall when I was green as a councillor, my first term, actually making that request. I believe the first pair of pole-mounted radar message board was actually mounted off High Tech Road, just the most southern boundary of our city, just north of Highway 7. And the earlier statistics, in accordance with York Regional Police, it does help to slow down the traffic a bit, because particularly when it's relatively new in a location. So I'm very much in support of this program, and I recall from that first pair, and then every council in the ward wants it. So now that's why we have in all 6 wards. So happy to support it and second it.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Liu.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just put up my hands to trying to second the motion. I have no comments. And thank you, staff, for their hard work. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, Councillor Liu. I'll need to keep my eyes forward on the screen.
No
Sorry about
worries.
that. Councillor Silvitz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I fully support this. I just wanted to personally, on behalf of the Ward 5 residents, thank staff for once again doing this. We get this at the end of this year, and it is always a very good thing to see. And I am very thankful for the 3 locations in Ward 5. They have been highly problematic. So my thanks to staff for examining and investigating all of the messages and complaints that were received, greatly appreciated. And this is a difficult decision because there are many roads throughout our city, and there are many problematic areas. But I do believe, specifically in Ward 5, that we have identified them at least for this particular period of time. So thank you so much.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Silvitz. Anybody else? Seeing none, we have a motion in front of us to approve the locations. All those in favor? Okay, that carries unanimously for all those still present. Thank you so much. And the last item on the agenda is 14.1. This is a member motion brought forward by Councillor Liu regarding the Richmond Green Park entrance, Elgin Mills Road East main entrance installation of additional sidewalk on the east side. So Councillor Liu, over to you. Oh, you're on mute, sir. There you go.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My motion is very straightforward and I think simple. For the years that Richmond Green Park has been built, we have yet have a proper pedestrian access at the entrance on the east side of Richmond Green. I don't know if Clark has the pictures. Thank you very much. Yeah, so you can, a few years ago, we have constructed a sidewalk on the east side, but we still haven't has a sidewalk on the west side. And, it's really hard for people to enter the park on the west side. If they wanted to go on a flat surface, they have to cross the road to the east side, go on the sidewalk, and then cross back to go to the park or the indoor soccer dome, the indoor soccer facility. So my residence has been waiting, and it's been long overdue. I think we need to have some improvement there because lots of events were held in that Richmond Green Park. After discussion with staff, and I appreciate all the comments from staff, that I understand that there will be a capital plan that designed by 2023 and construction on 2024 for a sidewalk on west side entrance. But I think it's better to have a temporary measure. And staff agreed to have put some asphalt paving on top of the uneven surface, so that when people going in the park from the west side, no matter if they're with a wheelchair or with a stroller, at least they have some flat surface to go on. So this is just my motion. Instead of asking for a sidewalk, I apologize. I wanted to change it into a temporary measure, which is asphalt paving applied on the west side over the uneven ground for the interim before a sidewalk will be built in 2024. I don't know if the clerk get that. That's basically my motion. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, have you got something for us? We're working on it.
Thank you. Sorry about that. It's a very short stretch of as a sidewalk. Hopefully, I can get support from members of council. It's a much needed sidewalk, not only for Ward 3 residents, it's also for all the people that are going into the park. Yeah, self-install paved pathway on the east side on the Richmond Green Park entrance before the end of 2022. So perfect. Thank you. I'm happy with that.
Okay, thank you so much. Councillor Chan, do you would wish to second it?
Yes, first of all, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councillor Neil, for bringing that forward. Having used the Richmond Green Park many times, particularly since the onset of COVID, that's a place for where I really take long walk at different times, particularly spring of 2020. I did observe that that seems to be in balance in terms of entry from Elgin Mills onto the Richmond Green Ground. So I'm totally in support having it. It's long overdue. The only things I want to make very clear is about the direction, because in this, I guess a photo being shown is on the west side of the entrance. Now, I gather whether you are talking about, looking out from the multi-sports complex towards south on Elgin Mills. If that's the way you look at it, it would be actually, I would consider the east side. And if you, so I just want to be absolutely correct. I wonder whether the mover may, well, we all talking about the same patch, we know that, but it's just a direction. I just want to be very absolutely clear. As someone was saying earlier, words matter, but it's obvious one side needs to have a path. And but I take it, Councillor New, that's the correct side of the motion you're referring to, correct? I'm happy to second it. Okay,
yes,
okay.
I think the east side is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
On the other side is already a sidewalk. There's nothing more to do.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So if one, I was thinking of that's probably on the east side, which thank you for clarifying that. And I think if it's just in time for volunteers to put something there, for the Ward 3 barbecue next week, they'll be great. But anyway, I see the need for it, and I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this? Okay, I'll just briefly say that I was actually at Richmond Green a couple of, I guess, was it yesterday? And it was in the pouring rain, and I had a pretty graphic depiction of what Councillor Liu is pointing out. So if Councillor Liu had anything to do with the rain, that was great. That illustrated the point quite well, but it is very muddy. And I can see actually quite a bit of traffic that would want to access that side. So I think this is a good investment, and it's a short-term fix for a longer-term improvement as well. So anyway, seeing no other speakers on that motion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of what's before us? Okay, and opposed? Okay, that carries. Thank you very much. So we have now come to almost the end of our agenda. We have bylaws 16.1 through 16.16. I think we can do that all in one shot unless anybody has an objection to that. So can I get a mover and seconder for those 16 bylaws? Councillor Shepherd, Councillor Silovitz, all those in favor? Okay, that carries. Thank you. There's an additional bylaw 16.17. Can I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Councillor Chan, Councillor Shepherd, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Confirmatory bylaw 18.1 to confirm the proceedings of this meeting. Councillor Shepherd, Councillor Silovitz, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, that carries. And that brings us to the last but not least item on the agenda, which is the motion to adjourn. And after a really long meeting like that, I will ask members of council not to all put up their hand at once. But Councillor Silovitz, you can move it, and Councillor Shepherd second it. All those in favor? Okay, that carries. Thank you very much, everybody. And to staff and those online, thank you very much for hanging in and watching today. Thanks very much.